What's going down, everybody? It's your boy, that guy Mile High, tuning back in for another reaction. And this time we got the top 10 weirdest laws in history that actually existed. And obviously that's such a weird title to me, because if it was weirdest laws in history, like, of course they existed, because then they wouldn't be a part of history, right? Right. Anyways, let's move on, man. That was just like one of those moments where I'm just like, I know I just read the title, but that to me just didn't even make a whole lot of sense, even though it made too much sense, if that's even a thing. Can something make too much sense? Can you like overly anyways, let's do this, man. Top 10 weirdest laws in history that actually existed. Let's do this.
Starting off this countdown, we have death. Now, this might seem very weird, but for the longest time, it was illegal to die. Yes, you heard me.
Wait, what? Oh, bruh, that's a new one. I ain't never heard of no ish like that, bruh. Did she just say it is illegal, or it was at one point illegal to die? Like, you don't even get to dictate. Like, that's the one thing that's promised in this world. Nobody gets to you know what I'm saying? Skip that one thing. We all will experience that one thing at one point in our time. Just like we all got to, experience birth, we all have to depart at one point or another. So what kind of nonsense is this? Okay, anyway, let's let her finish.
Date back to the Greek island of Delos in the 5th century BC. The island was considered a very holy place to the ancient Greeks.
So it was just,
they
you
decided
can't die
they
here,
needed
huh?
to purify it. By 6th century BC, all dead bodies buried in sight of the island's main temples were actually dug up and removed. They didn't want any dead bodies near this holy place.
Dang,
turns out that wasn't enough for them, though, and they ended up declaring that all dead bodies on the island must go. Then they got even more carried away and just said that the act of death itself was illegal, which is wild to me. Like, what if you accidentally die? Like, how are they gonna arrest you anyways? Like, you're dead at that point. It doesn't even matter.
Right. They gonna arrest your cousins
were
and
not
shit.
the only ones with this law. In 2005, the mayor of a Brazilian town introduced a law that made death legal. He implemented this law as an attempt to solve the city's problem with lack of burial spaces. And 3 towns in France also have this law. They have made death illegal since 2000. And that's because they were going to build more cemeteries, but their plan got rejected. So instead, they're like, okay, well, if we can't have more space to bury the dead, then just dying is illegal. You can't die. Coming in at number 9,
my brain is just like mush after listening to that. Like, how? Oh man, like what? How does that even make any sense, bro? Whatever. If you die in a place where you ain't supposed to die, like she said, what does it even matter? Because who are they going? I mean, I guess if they have some weird little fine print where it's like, oh, if you die, we're going after your next of kin. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that would suck. But I mean, for real, what do they do? What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do?
Hair. Now, America has some pretty strange laws. If you want to see a video on all the weirdest laws in America, make sure to smash that like button and let me know in the comments below so that I know. Now, in Delaware, you are banned from selling your cat or dog's hair. First off, who is out here buying
Right,
cat and dog
I was
hair?
just about
Second,
to ask
if
that.
this is a thing, then dog groomers would be rich. So apparently some people like to wear dog or cat fur, kind of like how people wear rabbit fur jackets. And so I guess there was this whole hair selling ring that they needed to crack down on. According to the law, and I quote, in Delaware, a person is guilty of the unlawful trade in dog or cat byproducts in the second degree if the person knowingly or recklessly sells, barters, or offers for sale or barter the fur or hair of a domestic dog or cat, or any product made in whole or in part from the fur or hair of a domestic dog or cat.
All right.
So don't do it, folks. Your pet poodle might shed a lot, but don't even think about scraping your couch or leggings to get as much hair as possible to sell. And our 8th spot today, we have the sharing of...
Like, how much pet hair would you have to sell to make it worth your while to even sit there and meticulously scrape up all sorts of hair in the first place to sell? Like, I mean, you need kilos of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many kilos is worth your time though, even at that point. Like, I'm just trying to figure it out, man. Like, I got a dog, he shed a lot. You know what I'm saying? I got hardwood floors. It ain't hard to just, start storing all that hair that we sweep up on a, every day, every other day basis anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta know. Anybody know out there how much the kilo's going for the pet hair? You know what I'm saying? I might got some. You know what I'm saying? I might got some.
Netflix. Who here actually owns a Netflix account? Versus who here knows someone with a Netflix account that you are using for free? Let me know in the comments below.
Yeah.
Now, I asked
I feel like that's
because
probably all
in
of us.
Tennessee, it is illegal to share your Netflix password. That is right. That is an actual law that was passed in 2011. Now, apparently this law is mainly directed at hackers who would sell login credentials and passwords to people. But it also applies to the people who let their friends mooch off of their account for free. But if you live in the same household as the person, then it's fine. You're allowed to share accounts. But if you don't, right to jail. In our seventh spot, we have the
y'all
wild
better keep it a
swans.
secret if
now,
y'all out there doing
I did not know
it.
this, but in the UK, every wild swan technically belongs to the crown. This has been a law since the 12th century.
Oh yeah,
I don't know why you would want to put a claim on swans.
I think it's illegal to kill them.
Apparently, back in the day, swans were a delicacy, and they loved eating them at banquets and feasts. So they put a claim on all swans.
So why
But don't worry, allegedly they are no longer eaten. Allegedly.
Why?
Now,
why
since
not?
the swans belong
If they
to the
good,
crown,
we eat
this means
and
that
shit.
anyone who injures or kills a swan can be prosecuted. And if you steal a swan, it's considered theft. In our sixth spot, we have marry a dead person. The fact that this is a law in the first place, it concerns me. Now, there was a time way back in the day in France where people could marry a corpse, but only if the family members consented to it. For example, if your partner died in battle before you could get married, or if you were pregnant with their child, then you could easily get married to their dead.
Bro, this sounds like some get rich quick shit right here, man. This sounds like some shit where a motherfucker just be like, we had a loving relationship. We was about to get married, and the dude was a billionaire and shit. She's just like, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be a widow right off the bat. Blah blah. Get all his money like this. That's what that shit sound wild. What? And it sound disgusting. That's like weird, bro. That's like, was it the necrophilia or whatever where you do weird shit with bodies and shit like. I feel like that falls under that, bro. Like, why you marrying bodies and shit? Like, what?
And by doing so, it would make your child legitimate. But people couldn't just be like, ooh, Nancy's dead? I had a crush on her forever. Now I can finally marry her. No, that's not how it worked. In fact, in 1959, there was a spike of people getting married to their dead partners. On December 2nd, 1959, the Malpasset Dam in France burst. As a result, 423 people lost their lives. After that event, tons of people were getting married to their deceased partners. And as recently as 2017, someone married their partner posthumously. We're now at our fifth and halfway mark with the smile. In Milan, ever since the 19th century, there has been a law where it is a legal requirement to smile at all times. Even if you're having a bad day, you better be smiling. The only exception being during funerals or hospital visits. Now, I don't know about you, but my cheeks would kill me if I had to smile.
That's a hell of a law right there, bro.
Now, it is very unlikely for you to get in trouble if you're caught not smiling, but they have handed out fines for it before. Now, you may be asking me, Lindsay, why is this a law in the first
you ain't
place?
smiling?
To make
$100
Milan a
ticket.
happier place? No. This law dates back to when Italy was under Austrian rule. They used this law as a way to force people to accept foreign governance. They thought the people that weren't smiling were the ones against this, so they were easy to spot. But obviously this rule hasn't been enforced in years. In our fourth spot, we have getting drunk in a pub.
That's
it makes
crazy.
sense that if you go to a pub, maybe you'll have one too many drinks and you get a little drunk. Well, don't even think about doing this in the UK. The UK statute actually prohibits people from getting drunk in a pub, the place where you go to drink.
But you know what, though? I know she was about to sit there and be like, the place where you're supposed to drink, but, let me throw something out there. I know y'all about to be like, what are you going to say, my high? I'm going to tell you. By sitting there telling people that it's illegal to go to the pub and get drunk, it pretty much limits everybody to like one drink, maybe two, you know what I'm saying? Depending on how well you handle your liquor. And at that point, you don't got to worry about a bunch of people stumbling out the pub and then getting in their vehicles and driving home drunk. You know what I'm saying? Because no one's sitting here saying that it's, that you're going to get in trouble if you go sit down for lunch, have a beer, maybe two with your burger, you know what I'm saying? Have a little conversation with the homies and then go about your day or, dinner, whatever, you know what I'm saying? A little night kick it situation, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But it like, I see where this could be like maybe beneficial. I'm just saying, you limited everybody to a little bit of drinks, so that they don't leave the pub drunk and start driving home, and then you got drunk drivers and all sorts of other problems. I'm just saying. You see, that's very logical to me. That's a very logical law, even though I do get where she's about to be like, how are you going to tell people they can't get drunk at the bar? That's what you do at a bar is you drink. I get it, but it's like more of a limiting thing. It's not saying that you can't go to the pub and drink. It's saying don't go to the pub and get shit-faced. All right? There's a difference. It's a difference, okay?
Applies to pretty much any establishment in England and Wales that isn't private property. It just seems so silly, though. You would think a pub is the one place you could get drunk.
No.
Now, this is an offense under the Criminal Justice Act of 1968. This law states that under Section 12 of the 1872 Licensing Act stipulates that every person found drunk on any licensed premises shall be liable to a penalty, which currently stands at £200.
Damn.
Moving on, at number 3, we have
again,
the
I see the
runny
logic
nose.
behind it.
Now, this is another weird law from the UK.
The runny
This time
nose.
from Newmarket in Suffolk.
She gets sick.
Basically, this is the birthplace of horse racing. It was extremely popular in around 1606, and it became a huge business. So big, in fact, that they passed a number of laws to help protect their horses. One of them being making it illegal to blow your nose in the street. They were scared that the racing horses would get sick and not be able to compete, and it would damage their business. So yeah, anyone who was caught blowing their nose back then would be fined. Even if you were caught walking around while sick, you were fined. Don't worry, these laws aren't a thing anymore.
Yeah,
in our second spot today, we have the criminal
I
animals.
can see why they.
Did you know that back in the day, animals
logic
could be
behind that,
tried
even
in
though that
court
shit
for
is dumb as
criminal
hell.
offenses? I literally can't imagine that, like a chicken taking a stand in court because it stole its neighbor's feed. But alas, it was a real law. In the Middle Ages, people tried animals in court. I kid you not, mice and insects got trials for destroying grain or damaging churches. Whereas larger animals like pigs and horses got trials for injury or murder. If they were found guilty, which they usually were, they can't really defend themselves, they would receive the death sentence. But it's not like they know what murder is or what they're doing.
What the hell kind of shit is that? That shit don't even make any sense. Bro, like, this is so
One time
dumb.
a pig in France killed a youngling and it got hanged for murder. Isn't that wild? Just thank gosh these laws aren't around anymore. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the pregnant women. Have you ever wanted to get away with murder? And I hope your answer is no, Lindsay, I'm not insane. But if you answered yes, well, turns out it's pretty easy if you live in New Hampshire. All you gotta do is be a woman and be pregnant. In 2017, New Hampshire passed an anti-homicide law. New Hampshire Senate Bill 66 was all about fetal homicide, saying that a fetus is a person by 20 weeks. So if you accidentally killed this fetus, let's say in a car crash, then you would be punished to the fullest extent of the law. But the law didn't apply to pregnant women who might need an abortion. But somewhere along the line, while passing this bill, the words got jumbled, and it made it seem like it was legal for pregnant women to murder anyone that they want. So for a brief period of time, they could have killed someone and got away with it.
Damn,
thankfully,
just 'cause of
they
wording,
realized their
though.
mistake before this happened. Starting off this countdown, we have...
Yeah, that's crazy. That's nuts. But the one thing that did kind of super change, though, like we see now, and especially in 2022, there's a lot of crazy abortion laws that are being passed that I can't necessarily say that I get behind. Like, yeah, I just can't say that I get behind all of them, man. Like, or any of them. Like, I just don't feel how we could tell women what to do with their bodies, or tell someone who is blatantly knowing that they're not capable of taking care of another human being, that they should have to keep that child. Like the whole like, oh, that's the next Einstein thing, to me just does not hold any weight. I just feel like that's just like a cop out excuse. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I just was throwing that out there. Let's go.
The weight.
That was a crazy ass like law
was
anyway. Like,
introduced, which made it mandatory for
shit.
citizens between the ages of 40 to 74 to have their waists measured regularly. Women can only be 35.4 inches, and men can only be 33.5 inches. If you are found bigger than that, then you have to lose weight according to this law. Not only that, but you might even be subjected to fines. I mean, Japan is known for their low obesity rates, and this is one of the factors to why. In our ninth spot today, we have the ice cream. Now, this is a very bizarre law. Basically, it's illegal to put ice cream in mailboxes. First off, who in their right mind would even think to do something like that? Like, I'm done with this ice cream. Where should I put it? The garbage? No.
That's like some weird. That's like some weird shit. Like out here in Denver, I don't know if it's still a law that's in effect, but I know one of the weird Denver laws is you can't share your vacuum with your neighbors or with anybody for that fact, or the matter. But I know part of it was because they were, there was like and I'm sure it probably does happen where people were sharing vacuums and then transferring like bugs and, shit like that from one house or one location to another. But shit, you could do that just stepping in somebody's house that got nasty bugs and shit, and then you carry them into your car, into your house, into anywhere else. But yeah, so anyways. Let's continue. That's a weird ass law.
So this law was implemented after a postal service worker put a chocolate ice cream in the mailbox in 2006. Since then, it's been made illegal, and offenders are subjected to a hefty fine. You could be imprisoned for up to 5 years or be fined around 4,000 USD. In our 8th spot today, we have your neighbor's mail. Now, I'm sure this has happened to you at least once. But you go home, you check your mail, then you realize that the envelope has your neighbor's name on it. Oops, the mailman delivered your neighbor's mail to your address. So you're like, no problem. I'll just walk to their house and pop it in their mailbox. Boom, wrong, no, arrested. In Japan, it's illegal to hand your neighbors misaddressed mail to them.
What?
This is featured in Article 42 of the postal law. Basically, they have this in place to protect the privacy of both the sender and recipient. So if any mail that's not yours accidentally gets in your mailbox, you have to send it.
Look, first off, if anybody's nice enough to return your mail, you like, why is that offensive or like in any way being like, violating? You know what I'm saying? Because if they're returning the mail 9 times out of 10, it's and I'd say 10 times out of 10, it's not open. So then how are they breaking your privacy except for they saw your name, your address, and returned it to that person at that address? Like, opening it is I feel like more offensive and more of a problem of privacy and everything else than you returning it. Like, that makes no sense. Because, bro, you know how much mail I know I've lost in these streets? People just throwing it away. People opening it, being like, I wonder what's going on with Mile High. I wonder what he got, what debt he got and shit, who he owe. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying, bro. Come on, man.
Back to the post office, and then they handle it. Which seems like a lot of work when they literally live next door to you.
Right.
But sorry, that's just how the law is. In our 7th spot today, we have the divorce law. This is another pretty wild law. So if you're a woman and you get divorced by law, you have to wait 6 months before remarrying again. And if you give birth to a child during those 6 months, the child is legally your ex-husband's. As for men, well, they can just remarry instantly. Now, there actually is...
So wait. So look. So if you're the dude that, is lucky enough to catch her in that 6-month period, and you get her pregnant on accident, and then because she just got divorced and she's in the 6 months, little break period of can't get remarried, and if you have a child, it's the ex-husband's child. You, as the dude who was just lucky enough to get her pregnant, you can walk away with no questions asked. You don't even got to sit there and argue. You ain't got to show up in court. It don't matter with no DNA test, no nothing. By law, it's legally that, niggas. What kind of shit is this, bro? That is such a cop-out. You could cop out of some shit if you wanted to by law. Nobody could even say nothing to you because it'd be like, hey, bro, that's the law, man. That's that dude's kid. I can't legally do nothing for him. You know what I'm saying? That's his. You know what I'm saying? Player got unlucky. Like, wait, what?
Somewhat a reasonable explanation behind this. Somewhat. So let's say the woman does remarry instantly after divorce, and then she finds out, oh no, I'm pregnant. Well, how would she know who the father is? So
Look,
the 6-month rule is in place so that it's going to be clear who the kid's father is. In 2016,
Wow.
the law was amended. Now the law is women can remarry immediately after divorce as long as they aren't pregnant. If they are, then they have to wait 100 days to remarry. And a child born within 300 days of divorce is still legally considered the child of the original husband, even if it's not his. In our 6th spot today, we have the married couple. Now, most married couples do live together, but
so
in Japan,
dumb.
they must. It's illegal for married couples to live separately unless they have a just cause. Now, why is this a law, you may ask? Well, it was passed to prevent divorce rates from spiking. If you're living away from your partner, the separation might take a toll on your relationship. But like I said, most couples do live together after marriage, so it's not that big of a law. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with indecent exposure. In Japan, it's illegal to expose your thighs or your bum in public. The law was passed in 1948 under the Light Crimes Act. However, this law is rarely enforced, and most women still like to wear miniskirts in public. But if the cops are really out looking for people, then you could be arrested and put in jail for up to 29 days. While we're on the topic of legs, crossing your legs in Japan is considered very casual and improper. In Japan, you are expected to sit tall with both feet on the floor and never cross your ankles over your knee. But don't worry, there's no law surrounding this, so you won't be arrested for accidentally crossing over your legs. It's more so a manner thing, you know, it just can be perceived as rude. In our 4th spot today, we have
some of the Asian
now, most people
rules
smoke
are so
outdoors
crazy.
and think that's the proper place to smoke. Well, not in Japan. Outdoor smoking is actually banned in Japan. The only place you can smoke outdoors is in designated smoking areas. But smoking is prohibited on the main streets. If you want to smoke, it has to be in these designated areas. They do this to be courteous of the people who don't wish to partake in smoking. What else might surprise you is that many restaurants and bars let you smoke inside. In our 3rd spot today, we have drinking. In Japan, you are allowed to drink in public. It's one of the few countries where it's fine to walk around with a beer in hand. In fact, they even have vending machines that sell alcoholic beverages in public. That being said, if you're hammered walking around the streets and being rowdy, you can be arrested. That's a no-no. Plus, drinking is usually an evening activity, so it's frowned upon if people see you walking around with a drink at like 10 in the morning. Moving on to number 2, we have the walkie-talkies.
I guess if they're making it that
so
like
you're
accessible,
planning your trip to Japan.
you
You've got
gotta
your essentials. You've got your underwear, your
self-control.
toothbrush, your
I feel
toothpaste.
that.
Did you bring your walkie-talkie? Now I know what you're thinking. Who would want to bring a walkie-talkie with them to Japan? Don't ask me. Maybe you have kids that get lost easily and it's too expensive to have an international phone plan. Well, if you're planning to bring walkie-talkies, think again. It is illegal to own walkie-talkies bought from another country. Now, this actually has a really good reason behind it. Japan relies heavily on their radio network to relay important information. Any foreign walkie-talkies can possibly interfere with their signals, so they made them illegal. If you're caught with one, you can face 1 year in prison with fines up to around 9,000 USD. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the dancing. For the longest time, dancing at public venues was illegal. That's right.
What?
Dancing was illegal. The only place you could dance was at venues with a special dancing license. And you could only dance until midnight.
Like a liquor license? You had to have a dancing license? What kind of
They did this in 1948 as a way to try and get rid of prostitution in these dance halls. Just recently, they changed the laws so you can dance after midnight. But the venue has to keep their lights on. So as soon as it's midnight in Japan, the lights turn on if you want to keep dancing. If venues don't follow this law, they could get in serious trouble.
That is
Alright guys, that's all for today's video. Let me know in the comments below where you are from. Do I have any viewers from Japan here? If so, let me know about these laws. I'm actually fascinated.
Kicking off the list at number 10, pedestrian crossing. Okay, I see this far too often in the city. People just walking across the street, whatever they want. They do a little wave, a little smile, and then they just jaywalk right in the middle of like a highway.
jaywalking is
Everybody's
illegal
slamming the
pretty
brakes,
much
and old
everywhere, I
Peggy
feel
Sue
like.
is just crossing wherever is most convenient for her. It's not fair. Well, Article 40 of Beijing's traffic laws stipulates that drivers in motor vehicles can't just suddenly stop, even if it's at a crosswalk. Yeah, so if somebody's about to walk at a crosswalk, they have to wait until drivers go by. It's forbidden to stop at these crossings, and if you do so, you're risking a fine. Hopefully, just a warning. Just a warning not to stop at crosswalks. It's kind of weird. That's an odd slap on the wrist.
That's
Hey, I noticed
crazy
you
as
stopped.
shit.
Don't.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
We got
Number 9,
yeah,
never
that's the
nude.
total opposite.
Okay, how do I word this
Everywhere I've
one
been,
here? We've all
shit.
heard about it in some way,
Better
I'm
be
sure.
mindful of them
You know those
pedestrians.
websites that we visit after the sun goes down? Maybe you're scrolling through Reddit even, some random threads pop up, you're like, okay, sure, that's not what I clicked. It happens. I used to download music from the internet. The things I've seen in pop-ups alone, horrifying. I have to wash my eyes. Well, in China, the government monitors the internet, so none of the adult content really makes its way to your eyes ever, even if you wanted it to. You get what I mean? Anything scandalous is censored. Objectionable material as well, just in general, won't make it to the screen or even the book. Yeah, you can't even write about being nude, because they'll toss literature right out. Only think dirty thoughts, don't say them. Number
They
8.
can do it with
born
anime,
this
though.
place.
That's
The
why
Hukou
anime is
system
so
is an
big.
interesting one.
'Cause there's
When you're
different
raised in a
rules to
small
anime,
town,
I'm
you
pretty
can't
sure.
wait to grow up and move. Maybe it's the city life for you that you yearn for. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you're sick of hearing trains go by every morning and you want to head to the country and hear some crickets. Having the choice to visit and move back and forth, rent out these places, that's a privilege. Depending on where you were born in China, you may be limited to the areas that you can and can't move to. You might literally be stuck living in the country. The government monitors every
That's
single
crazy.
citizen, so if you spend more than 3 days away from your residence, you have to register for a temporary residential permit. They have the system in place so that residents can't just all migrate at the same
Wait,
time to cities and
what?
cause a food shortage. Number 7, family time. Chinese culture
is
centers heavily
crazy.
around respecting your elders.
Like that makes you just like really appreciate like your circumstances. I promise you, like the fact that I could just decide to pick up and move to any state, any city, like whatever, like it don't matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? I could be simple and be like, I'm just gonna move counties, or move up the street, or I want to move states. Like I want to, like, you know what I'm saying? I want a whole new set of seats. Like I could just do what I want as long as I got the funds to do it, and I could do it. Like nobody is stopping me from making a choice to leave Colorado or anything. You know what I'm saying? Except for myself. So that is such a crazy luxury to like take for granted. You know what I'm saying? Because it's something that you, like, a lot of people just simply don't move because they just don't want to. You know what I'm saying? Just have no need to. But to sit there and think that you couldn't move because you were forced to stay in one spot, and if you've gone longer than 3 days, you gotta apply for permits and all sorts of shit for extended stays and shit. Like, what?
That's a huge element. And really, we need to enforce that everywhere, if I'm being honest. That's a great law. Yeah, I
Is
said
it?
law. Back in 2013, China introduced an elderly rights law, meaning they're not being neglected anymore. You don't visit Gam Gam, well, you're going to the slammer. Loneliness among the elderly is a major issue, so companies will even
Yeah,
allow
I
time
mean-
off to visit your parents.
That's
My heart
cool.
feels warm knowing this, honestly. My first job was at a retirement
Okay,
home.
that law is a little different. Like making sure it's a law that you have family time or like time off from work to go visit family and shit. Like that's a cool law. I can't lie. But that other law, that shit was nuts.
I used to
But
love
that's-
it. I used to
that
keep my
family time
headphones
law is not
out.
bad.
I used to talk to all the old ladies, all the old dudes. I was like 16 years old. I was a garbage guy. I would do recycling. It was the best. I loved talking to them. They're lonely. Talk to them. Adults are legally required to also stay in the loop, not just visit, shake a hand or two, and then leave. No, you have to spiritually connect with your elders in China. You can't just phone it in, literally. If you feel
That's
bad now,
crazy.
hit that thumbs up and go call your grandma. Number 6, unauthorized
I would if I could.
reincarnations. Yeah, this one's fun. China's authorities created a law so Buddhist monks can't be reincarnated there without legal permission, of course.
What?
Always got to get legal permission, even
You
to
gotta have permission to be reincarnate.
The State
All right.
Administration for Religious Affairs believes that
That's
this was an
that-
important
that's
step
something
that they
you just- I
had
don't
to
even have a
take.
comment on
This was
'cause
put
it's
in place to
religious
limit
shit,
the
like,
power of the Dalai Lama.
understand
Some
it
two
enough to
separate
have an
Dalai
opinion.
Lamas might be chosen in the future. Yeah, like Captain America, different timelines. This is insane. Hear me out. Beijing's view of the current Dalai Lama, the 14th, he's now 86 years old, and he said that when he was 90, he would make the choice whether or not he would be reincarnated. which could end a role that's been in Tibet Buddhism for over 600 years. So yeah, like I said, it's a big deal. That's where laws come in play and make this whole process tricky. The government, they're trying to limit the power of the Dalai Lama since he's been living in exile in India since the late 50s. So we could have Beijing's approved Dalai Lama that was, reincarnated, and the one identified by Buddhist monks. Two different ones. So if you're planning a reincarnation anytime soon, well, you better get approval from China first.
You gotta
the
get
people
approval,
of Tibet are very unlikely to accept a Chinese Communist Party appointed Dalai Lama. Number 5, work friends. This next one's a little lighter, and honestly, if this rule
like I
is in
said, I don't have an
place
opinion.
over here right now,
too religious
a
for
lot
me
of my
to have
friends
an
wouldn't have
opinion.
jobs.
I don't know enough about any
You
of
can't
that.
date coworkers in China.
Shit.
Yeah, and what's even better than that is that if you date somebody, sometimes your work will assess who you're dating, like outside of the field, and then they have to approve of them. That's amazing.
What?
This internet company in China, their dating rule in the workplace got leaked. And let me read some of these rules out, and then let's see if we agree here. Rule 42, males who have been employed for less than a year and females who have been employed for less than 3 months are prohibited from finding a boyfriend or girlfriend in the company. Okay, you gotta bust some tables first. Rule 43, female employees who have found a boyfriend
hold on. That one, the reality is when people date in the workplace, it can get really messy. So I kind of understand where they're trying to get with that. Just establish yourself first. That was more of like a encouragement for you to just establish yourself in the workplace, know what you're doing, know your job. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that men needed a year and women needed 3 months is really just because men are we a little you know what I'm saying? We see we see a little bit of ass, a little bit of titty. We're like, oh shit, wonder what's under there. You know what I'm saying? You get a little distracted. So I definitely understand because women are a lot more mature and they understand how to really keep. I think in most cases, most of the time, women can do a better job of separating workplace and relationship and keeping them separate, whereas men, you might want to smack a little booty, you know what I'm saying? You might want to do a little something that might get your ass in trouble. You dig what I'm saying? But yeah, that one I'm not so much like, oh, what, really? Like, because that's more like you know what? Like, you're here to do a job. You should establish yourself. You're not here to find relationships. But on the flip side of that coin, when you're putting in so many hours at one place and working with the same people and around a lot of the same individuals all the time, you're only bound to start having weird connections and sexual, feelings and things towards some of these people that you might be working with. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just natural. That's just what it is. That's just how we work as humans is, you know what I'm saying? Our number one thing that we, especially men, are thinking about is reproductive system things, and you know what I'm saying? We trying to reproduce. Even if we don't want kids, we still trying to do the act of reproducing on a regular basis. So yeah, anyways, let's go.
Company and have decided to have relations with him must take the initiative to tell their superior. Only if the relationship is fitting for the company can she then continue to be employed.
Wait,
and those who fail to report are directly expelled.
Female employees who have found a boyfriend outside the company and have decided to have relations with him must take initiative to tell their super. Why would you have to sit there and it's one thing if you found a relationship within the company and you might want to tell some people so that, people don't sit there and have weird, thoughts or start to make it out to be something more than what it just is and make a big deal out of something that you could just get ahead of. Like, I get that. But when it's outside of the company, I'm not on your time anymore. You do not get to dictate what I do in my personal life. What? That's
If you
dumb.
worked for Pepsi, Carol from Coca-Cola's accounting would be a no-go. Get what I'm saying?
Wow.
Rule 44, male employees under 25 are restricted from finding a girlfriend in the company. Hashtag grow up. Rule 46, frequently changing boyfriends and girlfriends within the company is prohibited. Those who have changed more than 3 times will be permanently expelled. So choose wisely.
Wow.
Number 4, one-child policy. Immediately darker. This one was phased out recently, but I have to bring it up. Introduced in 1979, the Chinese government made this rule where a majority of couples could only have 1 child. This was done to control population growth, but of course, from a human rights point of view, things got a little dicey. See, come 2015, things didn't magically change. It just switched to a 2-child limit. And then finally, come 2021, it's completely phased out. The government saw this plan as a way to keep things running smooth, but in doing so, they reduced the fertility rate. And there ended up being a labor shortage because seniors needed those kids, as in the only one of those kids, to take care of them. No one was left to work, see what I mean? As per point number 7. Number 3, Tickets, please. Medical systems are different everywhere, and in China, having that many people, things have to run smoothly. It's a must. There's more often than not a wait line for most commodities. They have something called healthcare tickets over there. Honestly, I kind of agree with this. I'm pretty on board. If you're looking to see a doctor, you gotta buy a ticket first. Like a movie, a really slow, boring, coughing a lot movie. You can buy these tickets like you would movie theaters through an app or through a website, whatever works best. Because if you don't have a ticket, it would be an extremely long wait time just to see a doctor and talk and then plan something. After they bought a ticket, patients can register it to a specific doctor that fits their needs, rather than wait in a room full of sick people all going to the same person, that slow process that I'm used to over here in Canada. This way, patients in China can just go specifically to the doctor that they need, rather than get referred over and over and over again and wait in these long lines.
But like,
do you agree with this fast pass system? Sound off below. Number 2, busking.
I don't think I
Here in
agree
Toronto, we have Busker Fest. It's amazing. My friends perform in it. It's loud, it's full of energy. It's an outdoor variety show. If you've been to any major city, at one point you've seen a kid butchering an Ed Sheeran song. That's busking. Buskers are common, and in Hong Kong, they're really not. You're not allowed to whip out a banjo, throw down a hat on the sidewalk, and start improvising with locals. It's an offense to play any musical instrument in the streets. So keep that tromboning to yourself. And finally, number 1, banned. To cap this list off on laws you didn't know about, I figured I'd just rapid fire a few things that are banned in China. All their favorite things. Most of them are websites.
Like everything,
no-go.
it seems like.
YouTube as well, so you won't find my face over there. And speaking of face, Facebook too is banned, which honestly isn't really a total loss. Reddit is not allowed, so say goodbye to your late night scrolling. Netflix too is blocked, so no more binging and Netflix and chilling. Wikipedia, blocked. Zoom was blocked for a hot minute. Messenger, of course, being part of Facebook, or I mean Meta, is blocked. So if you wanted to block somebody, you couldn't because Messenger was blocked. I'm saying block a lot. We're all blocked. No more local rappers as well spitting bars on your newsfeed either, because SoundCloud has been blocked for 8 years. I'm on board with this one. This one's fine. Until podcasts came out, we're like, okay, drop those. When we're done with scripts here, we toss them in Dropbox. I'll never take Dropbox for granted again because over there it's blocked. Imgur has been blocked for a couple years now too, so no more GIFs. GIFs? GIFs. GIFs. Definitely GIFs.
Dang, that's crazy. Like, everything was blocked over there. There was nothing left to, like, yeah, whatever, I guess. All that family time, I guess. You know what I'm saying? You don't get no access to anything. You got to be on all those little, like, you know, little server VPN things where you, like, you know, pinging off of like Switzerland servers or some shit. Like, damn, like they don't have no access to anything. But yeah, anyways, y'all let me know what y'all thought about that down in the comments below, man. What was the weirdest law that you saw in this whole little like 3-part series all in one? There was definitely a lot to choose from, man. There was a lot of moments where we were like, what? I think the one that really caught me off guard though, just off tops, was that the very first one, like the illegal to die. Like, what? What? There was definitely some other ones, but that one is still, I think, by far the weirdest one. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all thought, and we'll talk about it down in the comments. I'll catch y'all later. Oh, and don't forget to hit that little, you know, subscribe button, gooch area, you know what I'm saying? You just tickle it, and then you boop, poke it. It's free. Peace out.